this room here. This is kind of a meeting room space, and they have a screen that drops down on the ceiling here. Projector drops down out there, kind of like the banquet halls in the other end of the building. But the problem is, what you can probably see if I turn the system on, is the screen drops right out. But the projector does not. It's just sitting up there. Screen gets the rest of the way down. It bumps against that table, but it'll be okay. You'll see the projector here in a moment. Probably should boot up. Yep, there it is. It is kicking on. Everything's working good up there, but it's supposed to be out of the ceiling. So this is controlled via the control system, same as the screen. There's a relay unit up in the ceiling up here that actually kicks the high voltage to put the unit up and down. Sometimes those relays get stuck just over time, cycling, things like that. They can sometimes just have issues. So I'm gonna try to see if a lot of times if you just kind of give them a tap, they straighten up. And it just kind of causes the contacts to free up. So I'm gonna see if I can get up in here. One thing that makes this hard is that's a sprinkler head right there. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a cover for a sprinkler head. So there's a sprinkler line right there. So I got a water line for sprinkler right above the tile, and I can't go that way with the tile because the sprinkler head's in the way unless I tilt it way up. So I got to kind of wedge it out of here. So give me a second. I'll see if I can get up in here. Okay, got up in there enough that I can get the tile out of the way. A little black mark on the tile right there. Scraped it against. I think there's a wireless. Yeah, there's another one of those wireless units, Altona ones up here for this room. I'm sitting up on this top of this tile. It used to be mounted with some of this other stuff, but it kept causing issues. These lifts they're a pain in the butt, honestly. I feel like they don't work more often than they work. Not a big fan of them. I think if we get another request for them, I either highly recommend people not use them, or at the very least make it a lot more expensive to use them, because we end up having to come back and maintain them. I think this is the second or third set of arms we've been through on this particular one. Just getting them on place, getting them all level and balanced, getting all the power tied in, and all that stuff. It's just not something that's really worth it, in my opinion. Here is the relay, this little gray guy right here with the red light on it. I'm going to go ahead and turn the system off and see if that light goes off. That'll tell me if the relay is getting its correct signals. If it's not, then we got an issue with the control system side of things. So, well, let's see what we get. Okay. Turn the system off. Oops. There we go. Screen's going up. Oh, music's back. Okay. Let's see. You can see the projector turned off and all that part's working. So let's see if it's okay. The relay did kick, so it's at least getting its control to go up and down, which that part's good. So I'm going to kick it back on. If you're trying to tap one of these relays to free it up, you're going to want to put it in whatever position you want it to be in that it's not working in. I'm not explaining that very well. So essentially, basically the way these relays work is it toggles between 2 points. So you'll have so maybe you'll say, put my hat there, that's your line for putting the screen up. This is your line for putting the screen down. And then my arm would be the positive coming in saying, when it flips this way, puts the screen down, flips this way, puts the screen up. So right now, or the lift, sorry. So right now it lifts up, so it's flopped this way. It's stuck here, so when it's getting the command, it should flip this way and put it down. But for whatever reason, it's stuck here. So sometimes you just take a screwdriver, or sometimes even just your knuckles, and just kind of lightly tap on, kind of give it a little smack. If it's like stuck on this side, it'll just pop over. But in order to get it kind of pushing this way, you want to make sure that it's wanting to go down. So I'm going to put it in the down mode, so that way it should be coming down, trying to come out. And so that way it's trying to push this way, so it's pushing that way. And then if I give it a little tap on the thing, sometimes it'll just boop, pop right over. And then I'll usually cycle it a couple times just to make sure that it's actually working from there. So go ahead and put this down, screen comes down, lift still up. So let's take a look here. The light's on, so it's trying to swap. See if I got something to that relay with. A little power supply here. Okay, so let's just give it a little smack. Oh, there we go. Okay, here it goes. So that's all it took. A little whack on the side of the relay and it popped out. Picture, there we go. It's coming down. So anyway, that's, sometimes you'll run into that with those relays. These lifts, especially this one, seems to draw a good amount of current right when it first fires. Basically what happens is those things can kind of make like a little arc, like if you ever flipped a light switch or something like that and saw like a little spark in the background. Most switches nowadays are made so that they don't do that, or at least you don't see it, but a lot of times you'll get like a little arc. And sometimes it almost just, when that relay closes, it smacks against the other contact, creates a little bit of an arc when it does it, and from this thing pulling all that juice to start that motor up, and it just can just like do like almost like a little tiny weld, just like welds the contacts together, but like just barely, just where it arced. So it's not enough to kind of, it's like just enough to hold them in position to where the relay, the spring in the relay can't overcome the arc that's holding it together, or the little tiny spot weld basically. But you give them a little smack and it just kind of shakes them a little bit and frees it up. So anyway, we'll cycle this a couple times. Just make sure it's all working good. So you can see it's going back up. So that's good. It's working for now. Generally, if you look on those relays, one side is spring loaded. There's probably plenty of videos you can look up on how those relays work, but on a standard relay like this versus like a solid state relay, the one side will have a spring on it, and so in one direction it's spring loaded, and in the other direction it has a little solenoid basically, that when you apply power, the solenoid engages and pushes the contacts the other direction. That's what makes them work. So generally, if you look on the relays, they're generally rated so that one side has a higher rating than the other. So essentially the normally open or the normally closed side. I can't remember which it is off the top of my head. I'll look on this relay. But one side will be rated higher than the other, and that's basically just because the solenoid or the spring, turn that music off again, the solenoid or the spring doesn't have as much power as the other one. So obviously the spring can't be more powerful than the solenoid, because the solenoid has to be able to overcome the tension of the spring in order to engage the relay. So the spring is usually has less force to push against and free up, a little tiny arc weld or spot weld that may occur when it engages. And so if you look on them, they're generally rated, and they'll say it can have this much draw on the normally open side, and it can have this much draw on the normally closed side, and those will be two different ratings, and that's why. It's just because one side, essentially, when it's closing, it generally has more power than when it's opening, because that's just spring assist is all it is. So anyway, it looks like this is working. It's gone up and down a couple times. I'll go ahead and put this back up. Seems to be working good. Kill this music. Okay, I'll take you up and show you the rating on that guy. This thing get up here all the way. You bump these things just barely and knock them out of level, and then they don't line up in the screen, and they're just a pain to work with. They don't line up in the ceiling right, and then you got to readjust the whole thing. I'll be here for an hour doing that, so I'll try to avoid that. Okay, so right here, so if you see this, looks like there's a few different ones have the rating for it, but we'll just look down here at this, let's see, tungsten bulb, 120 volts AC, normally open. So that NO is normally open. So basically it's just saying on the normally open side, it's rated for this. But you can see that same tungsten bulb. So that was a 600 watt tungsten bulb, 120 volt AC on the normally open side of the contact. On the normally closed side, it's only rated at 240 watt for a tungsten at 120 volts AC. So you can see the difference between there. And it looks like, yeah, so basically when it's normally open, that would be the side that is spring loaded. So the spring keeps it open. And then when the solenoid engages, that closes the relay. So the normally closed side is only rated for 240 watts. So you can see how much of a difference that actually makes. So pay attention to that when you're hooking these up, and try to keep your load side, especially if that's going to be a side that's going to be drawing more, make sure you put that on the side that makes the most sense, even if it makes you, even if it requires you to have to wire your relay differently. I highly recommend that, because that'll be something that'll come back to bite you, and you'll end up replacing relays that are perfectly rated. When you look them up, they say it's perfectly rated for the load you're carrying, but if you're not paying close attention to that, it may not actually be rated for what you're dealing with, or if nothing else, it will hopefully cause you less issues if you take advantage of that. So that's all I got for you today. Hopefully getting out of here and get home.